Hi everyone, it's Angela. Thank you for joining me at Connective Marketing. In today's blog post, I am going to be going over Adobe Lightroom. It's a photo editing software. It's a very basic tutorial that I'm going to give you. It's going to go over some of the basic edits that I do to most photos. It gives your photos really polished look in just a few short steps. It's very easy to use. You can get Adobe Lightroom, I think for about $119 a year. So it's a really good investment for businesses and organizations. You can also find some sponsored ways to get it potentially. I know that at the university where I am currently getting my master's, the University of Nevada, they provide it to students, faculty, and staff for free as part of their enterprise-wide licensing agreement. So we're going to be going through a really quick tutorial today, and I'll show you my favorite edits to help make my photos that I post on social media, on websites, just look a little bit more polished and professional. We hope you enjoy it! Okay. Welcome to our tutorial today on Adobe Lightroom. This is kind of how the interface looks. I have seen it look slightly different based on what type of device you're using. This is on a MacBook, so this is how it looks for me. You'll see kind of your library here with all of the photos that you have. You can see some that I've uploaded. So I'm just going to get straight into editing. So when I find a photo that I want to edit, I'm going to double click on it. And usually the first kind of thing that I do is crop it. So all this stuff over here kind of detracts from the image. So if you go over to your crop tool, there's a couple of ways that you can do it, but I'm probably just gonna kind of get in right there. And depending on what you're using this for, you can crop it to kind of fit your needs. If you need to have some words on one side, whatever you need to do, but I'm going to keep it nice and tight in here. And that looks good to me. So I am going to go ahead and use that version of it. Then I'm going to click on this icon here. This is the edit icon, so I'm going to click it. And now this is the fun part where you can adjust all kinds of things. So I'm just going to go through my favorite things to adjust. This is a very easy to use tool, so the more you play with it, the more options that you'll have. But if I'm just in a quick hurry, just want to get something edited right away, this is kind of what I do. So we're going to go into the exposure. I'm going to play with it. I like it a little bit brighter, but you can adjust your image how you want. You don't want it to look overexposed, but I am going to add that brightness just a little bit. Going to add a little bit of contrast. You can see what happens when you play with the contrast. You don't want too much, but I do want a little bit more contrast there. The highlights is going to kind of enhance all of the areas that are already lighter. So if you keep your eye on those, you'll see the highlights being shifted there. I like it a little bit more highlighted. Usually it kind of depends. You just play with these settings. This is the shadows. I kind of want it a little bit lighter, so I am going to reduce the shadow. If you take it over to the right, then it's making the shadows go away. Over to the left is enhancing those shadows, so I'm going to go over here. Now the whites, this is going to kind of be the vibrance of your whites in the photo, so I'm actually kind of going to make it darker just to make it a little bit more colorful. Blacks, I'm going to enhance the blacks because I just like the way that it looks when blacks are very black. Now you can go into color. Usually with people, I like to make them a little bit warmer. It makes everyone look like they have kind of a nicer tan, but it just looks better to me. I think if you go cooler, it depends on what you want it to look like, but really the temperature kind of plays with emotion as well. So if you go warmer, I think it makes people look a little bit healthier, a little bit happier. So I usually do add a little bit of warmth to the photo. I usually don't mess with tint. It does crazy things. I'll show you here. If you're going for that look, it can be very fun. I'm not gonna use any tint on this. Then I get into the vibrance. So this kind of enhances all of the different colors that you have. I do make it a little bit more vibrant. You obviously don't want to go too overboard, but I do. This looks like an after-school special to me. But I am gonna actually go over here and enhance the vibrance a little bit. And the saturation, so this is the amount of color in there. Again, on people, I want them to look happy, healthy, and full of life, so I do add a little bit of saturation. Again, you can see what happens when you play with the saturation tool. So usually I'll just do saturation. And let's see, usually then I just go into, where is it? I go into the effects. With people, I do like to add vignette. This is going to make the edges of the photo either white or black. So you can play with the placement of this. I'll let you play with it yourself. I'm just going to leave it here. You can change where the vignette is appearing, but for this kind of a photo, I think that this is a good placement for it. The clarity, usually this makes it way more clear, so you can see here all of the, everything's much sharper. It's has harsher grains to it, and so usually for people I make it a little less clear, and that's because if you're looking over here at these beautiful wrinkles I have, if you make it a little, if you kind of detract the clarity a little bit, it kind of softens those a little bit. So most people like it when you soften it. Let's see, I think that might be about all that I do for basic photo editing. If you really want to soften people's expressions, you can use noise reduction here. That kind of smooths things out. You can see, especially on the wrinkles that I have over here, if you use noise reduction, those really go away. But it does, I think that you should leave a little bit of wrinkle in there. Nobody's perfect. We don't want us to look too photoshopped. So usually I don't use this too much, but if somebody really wants to look perfect, use noise reduction. Something else that's really cool about Lightroom is that you can copy and paste your settings. So if you just edited something and you really like it and you have a few others that you want to apply the same settings to, you can just command copy or control copy, and then it's copied those, and you get into your next photo, and you can control V, just paste those settings. So it really makes things go quickly. On this one, all I would have to do is kind of edit that back down, figure out how I want it cropped, and it already has edited it for me. So if we get back to the original one, the last thing I want to show you guys is just show the difference between the original and the edits that we made. So there's the original again, and there's the enhanced version of it. So I hope that you guys found this one helpful. If you need to save your photo, you can do File, Save To, and then that will bring up where you want to save it. You just click the different area that you want to save it to, and go from there. So that kind of covers the basic edits that I like to do in Adobe Lightroom. It's a really quick tutorial. It was really basic. I hope that you found it useful. I highly encourage you to check out Lightroom. If you do have any more questions, you can ask me in the comments. If there are things that you like to do in Lightroom that I didn't cover in this, go ahead and share it so that other people can learn about it too. Just leave us a comment and we can start a conversation about it. I hope that you enjoyed this post, and if you did, please go ahead and like the post, and thank you for joining me today.